Hey guys, I'm SPIKE-A-SAURUS, and today we will be transforming the Woodland mansion. Welcome to the channel. Before we get started, I wanted to say that if you really enjoyed this video, please share it with your friends because this is the most effort I have put into a build ever, and this is only part 1. In this video, we are only building the exterior, and next week's video will be a full interior transformation. I had to do this because just transforming the outside alone has taken me over 18 hours, which is more than twice the time it normally takes me to finish a build. So look out next week for part 2, the interior transformation. So go grab a snack, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Alright, let's get started. The first thing we're going to do is clear the landscape and give ourselves more room to work with. And I'm just going to set the mansion off to the side for safekeeping, of course. When I start my builds usually, and this one being no exception, I have no idea or plan of what I'm going to do. And so for this build, I'm giving myself lots of space initially because I'm not sure how much larger it's going to be, but I assure you it's going to be awesome. And after all the effort of simply flattening the area, I decided I want it a little bit closer to the water level. And so after cleaning off the mansion, what did I do? Completely destroy the area. Obviously the smart choice. All jokes aside, this was the easiest way to get the waving coastline that I wanted. After building up essentially an entire island, I prepare it for the build. I can finally set the mansion back in place, ready to be transformed. Okay, so the first thing I do is start taking a few measurements for how wide and tall each section of the wall is. Then I scale up the basic design just a few blocks and repattern the front wall. The big mansion is really just a giant square, and I aim to keep it that way, but I'm going to extend a few walls and push others back, just so it breaks up most of the repeated wall patterns. I then start playing around with the roof style and decide that I'm going to use slabs instead of stairs. This helps to create a more modern mansion style, and that is exactly what I aim to create here today. Then I start my first key design using basic wood blocks and black stained glass to get a feel for what the mansion is going to become. Angling the walls at a 45-degree angle before cutting them straight back is an easy way to create depth with little effort. Once I'm happy with the initial template, I begin to try and work that into the largely flat walls. I'm also adapting the cobblestone accents above the first floor into a spacious deck that spans most of the front of the mansion. A fair amount of Minecraft builds seem to forego large, beautiful windows. However, when you look at awesome, beautiful wood mansions, they all share at least two common traits. That's the wood and large windows for the occupants to look out and see the amazing landscape in which their house sits. So an emphasis on this build will be the large windows. Okay, next I work on the side wall by first placing in the basic enlarged wall patterns taken from the original mansion but with spruce, just to see how I like the feel of the lighter colored wood. Another very important part of this transformation will be the roof. The original mansion has a very flat roof with basic slanted edges. To fix this hideous aesthetic, we will be spending much time making sure there is variation in the height, setback, and extension of each roof section. This will really add to its overall look, making it less rigid and a more fluid structure. We've gotten a basic shape for the first 2 floors, but as you know there's a 3rd floor. So let's get that on top and throw in a few placeholders for walls and windows, matching the overall shape of the original. Heading back to the front, I start working on a second layer of detail, which is the support beams for the deck. Even spacing on these will be important for visual appeal. I also create a basic window design for the lower level. Okay, for the main entrance, I want multiple panels of windows to add detail but still keep most of the glass for maximum window space. Now working more on the bottom level, I place in some windows but also adapt the 8 shape on the original mansion to similar shape in the slabs on the upgraded mansion wall. Also, adding a second layer to the deck railing vastly improved the look and was very simple. Though that's just my opinion. What are you guys' opinions on the transformation so far? Next, I take the style of that first design element I created and use it to create the entrance to the front viewing deck. I periodically copy this side design to the right side just to make sure I'm happy with it when it is on both sides of the build. Now that I have a pretty solid template of textures, I wrap them around both the first and second levels, slightly changing when necessary. As I move toward the back side of the build, I now start trying out even larger window designs. This one takes up almost 3 stories, and it's an amazing view from the inside. And adding the series of spruce pillars to the front is very simple, but adds a lot of depth to the front of this window. For the back deck, I again use the designs I've created for the front and work them into the back, just changing them a bit. Making the deck higher and keeping it square, for example, are just some small changes that add to the complexity of the build. Now I start detailing the back of the 3rd story, simply using the front tower-like structure to texture most of the back. Now for my favorite wall section. I add an awning with a much lesser slope, support beams, and square windows with fence and a wide single window. Though very simple, I find this to be my personal favorite of all the walls in this transformation, but as always, I'm very interested in which wall section in this transformation is your favorite. For the wall section below the back deck, I attempt to use all the design elements so far in a single wall. As for the rest of the top floor, I do pretty much the same thing I've been doing so far, which, if you haven't figured out by now, is adapting and mutating my existing designs into the walls. It's almost like the build is evolving. Now the original mansion has a lot of flat space on top, and that lends itself really well to yet another deck area. The feature here is the canopy, also very simple but still adding a lot to the overall aesthetic. If I lived here, I would spend a good amount of time up here. Wait till part 2 when I furnish this canopy area as well as the entire interior. With the exterior being almost finished, I add on a small pine tree forest, raise and finish the perimeter of the mansion, and add grass and podzol to the forest floor. The forest really accents the mansion well, especially the podzol, bringing the browns of the mansion into the surrounding environment. And with that, part 1 is done. As always, thanks for watching all the way to the end. I put so much effort into this build, so I hope it shows. If you like how the transformation turned out, give the video a like, share it with some friends, and maybe even subscribe. Also, make sure to stick around for part 2, the full interior transformation. I look forward to seeing you all next week. I'm SPIKE-A-SAURUS, and I'll see you next time.